The book of Jeremiah, chapter 50 and 22. A sound of battle is in the land and of great destruction.
Welcome, everybody, to Full Spectrum Survival. There's so much going on, including this strike in Russia with the Ukrainian bombs going off over where Russia holds their nuclear bombers. This sent a huge mushroom cloud up into the sky. We have a lot of reports and video coming in showing that these strikes are going to escalate in the next couple of hours and days, and we may see something larger come from this. Now, Russia immediately said, oh, if you want to play like that, then this is how it's going to happen. We started to see Russia prepare their troops to go deep into Ukrainian territory, and they're saying that this could not have been done without logistical support by anti-Russian European countries. And so now you're starting to see this escalation take place where they say, hey, if we're at war, we are at war. And that's exactly what's going on. So I want you and your family to get ready. World War III is literally staring us down in our face. And I'm going to remind you that you don't know it's World War III for what, 5, 10 years, because the media doesn't label it on the front page of websites as World War III for a couple of years. World War, to be a world war, just means you have multiple nations around the world engaged in active military conflict. China, Taiwan, Iran, Israel, Yemen, Lebanon, Syria, Turkey, Russia, Ukraine. You have a world war going on right in front of your face, and you're not preparing for it. Guys, I want your family to be ready and make it through it, just like mine did during World War I and World War II.
All right, Shalom. First and foremost, call hello, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakah, Kodash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of the great millstone who teach and well, peace and infinite salutations to the elect that are scattered abroad doing this work in truthfulness and sincerity. Coming at you with a quick lesson. Europe is preparing for World War III. All right, which we know the EU is part of the beast. It is the beast. NATO and the EU is made up of the beast. Okay, there's 10 horns. All right, but it says Europe is preparing for World War III with survival guides, mass evacuations, huge bunkers, and conscription. Okay, so now we see information coming out how Europe is, taking unprecedented steps to prepare citizens and infrastructure for the possibility of a large-scale conflict, often framed as potential World War III. And ultimately, World War III is Bible prophecy. All right, and every day that goes on, all these global tensions around the world is ultimately just going to lead to the war of Armageddon or World War III. This prophecy is going to come to pass. But now we see that, these EU nations are going to be involved. And ultimately, these EU nations are going to, shoot missiles at America, man. Okay? It says, according to a report, The Guardian, Germany, Nordic countries like Sweden, Finland, and Norway have taken the lead in issuing booklets and developing apps that advise on building bunkers, stockpiling food, and surviving without electricity. Okay, these efforts stem from growing concerns about a potential Russian threat, with experts cited in the report suggesting an attack could materialize within the next 5 years. Okay, so these EU nations are preparing for World War III within the next 5 years, which is very likely with the way things are speeding up and happening. All right. And the first scripture I opened up with was Jeremiah 50 and 22. It says, a sound of battle is in the land and of great destruction. All right. And the battle is the war of Armageddon. And the great destruction is ultimately going to come to Mystery Babylon the Great, America, also the land of Israel. Okay. And we see what's going on with, Israel and the Palestinians. There's still war going on, man. Okay, so you got these different wars that are on different fronts, which you heard the guy from Full Spectrum Survival explain. This is a world war, already happening. You got many different countries that are at war right now as we speak, okay, globally. All right. So let's go here real quick, okay. Let me see if I can find this real quick. Bear with me. Yeah, here we go. All right. So let me go ahead and read this. All right, this is Matthew 24:6. All right, Matthew 24:6. It says, "And you shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet." And this is a red letter. So Yahweh Shai told us about the wars and rumors of wars that we're seeing all over the world, man. All right. And you saw that mushroom cloud in the beginning of the video. Okay, I'm going to play it again. Let's pull it up. All right.
Welcome, everybody, to Full Spectrum Survival. There's so much going on, including this strike in Russia with the Ukrainian bombs going off over where Russia holds their nuclear bombers. This sent a huge mushroom cloud up into the sky. We have a lot of reports and video coming in.
All right there. All right. So you're going to start seeing more stuff like this, which this is happening, every day. Bombs are dropping, mushroom clouds are being created. But the ultimate time of World War III is coming soon, man. So Europe preparing for war, which is, the beast getting ready for a war, which ultimately, as the scriptures tell you, which we'll grab it, the beast shall hate the whore and burn her with fire. The whore represents America, okay? The beast with 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 heads is going into the Spanish, the French, the British, Germania Minor, Germania Major, the Greeks, and the Romans. Okay, 7 major heads, 7 governments of the kingdom ruled by Esau, and then you have the 10 horns, which represents the EEC, also known as the EU today. Okay, which it makes up of Belgium, Denmark, France, Italy, Luxembourg, Netherlands, Greece, Ireland, England, and West Germany. Which these nations that are preparing for war, they're ultimately going to shoot fire at America too, man. Okay, so let's go to that real quick. All right, let me finish off Matthew 24:7. That says, "For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places." You got all these earthquakes taking place, nations ultimately rising up against nations. These are all signs of the end. Okay, of the return of Yahushua, in the beginning of the world to come, the beginning of the righteous world, which is going to be ruled by Israelites, okay, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. Matthew 24:8, all these are the beginning of sorrows. So this is just the beginning of sorrows, man. Okay, so let's go to Revelation chapter 17, and I'm going to start at verse 3, and then I'm going to jump down to 14. This is Revelation 17:3. It says, "So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns." Right, and the woman represents the U.S. Okay, America. Right, and this beast, the 7 heads, I just named them. Okay, the 10 horns. It says, "And the woman America was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, right? Looked as royalty, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand, full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication, right? Because this place is this place America is full of filthiness, abominations, LGBTQ, wickedness, sodomy, so on and so forth, right? It says, and upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery Babylon the Great, which this right here is America, okay? This Mystery Babylon is actually speaking of America in the Bible, right? It says the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth, right? Because all wickedness that's taken place throughout the earth, it comes out of America, all right? All of, the philosophies and the alphabet community, all of that stuff is being pushed forth out of America, all the wickedness, okay? It says, I'm going to jump down to verse 14. It says, these shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them. Yeah, going into ultimately these different nations of the earth. When Yahweh Shai comes back, they're actually going to try to fight Yahweh Shai. Okay, going into Second Ezra, the 13th chapter. So all these nations, when they go to war, even these EU nations, NATO, EU nations, the BRICS nations, you're going to have Russia, China, Iran, North Korea, China, right? I said China already, but all these nations, right? They're going to be trying to fight each other, right? And then Yahweh Shai is going to come back, and all these nations, they're going to try to fight Yahweh Shai when he comes. That's why it says, these shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them, right? Yahweh Shai ultimately is going to get the victory. It's going to be a first round knockout, man. With the destruction that Yahweh Shai is coming back with in the chariots, it's going to be a first round knockout when the Lord does come back. He says, for he is Lord of lords and King of kings, and they that are with him are called and chosen and faithful, going into ultimately the elect. It says, and he said unto me, the waters which thou sawest where the horse sitteth are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. Verse 16, and the 10 horns, going into, NATO and the EU, okay? These EU nations, okay? The 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore. And the whore represents America. So even these NATO, EU nations, and we see the disconnect happening with America and NATO, okay, and these EU nations, right? I believe you recently just had France that was, talking about trying to get the Statue of Liberty back, which that goes into a whole nother thing. But ultimately, you see the disconnect and the relations being severed between America and the EU, which is all according to prophecy. Because ultimately, these NATO EU nations are going to be divided against America and ultimately destroy her. That's why it says, and the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. So these nations, NATO EU nations, are ultimately going to turn on America as well in this world war. All right. And that's the prophecy. It says, for the Most High hath put it in their hearts to fulfill his will. So they're going to do this to ultimately fulfill the will of the Heavenly Father, Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai. All right. It says, and to agree and give their kingdom unto the beast until the words of the Most High shall be fulfilled. Right. So ultimately, these nations, which let me pull this up real quick. NATO is an acronym for North Atlantic Treaty Organization, which is the beast, part of the beast. It says, it was established August 4th, 1949, consisting of 19 nations. I'm going to list them: Greece, Italy, Spain, France. Yeah, now there's more than 10 horns. It started with the original 10 that I listed, Belgium on down to West Germany, but now there's, there's more than 10. All right. But it says Greece, Italy, Spain, France, West Germany, United Kingdom, Portugal, Belgium, Netherlands, Luxembourg, Canada, Norway, Denmark, Iceland, Turkey, United. All right. It says Poland, Hungary, Czech Republic, the Czech Republic. These nations make up NATO, which is the beast. And the beast ultimately is going to hate the horde that rideth upon the beast. All right. Which is America. All right. So this place is through, man. Okay. That's what we see getting ready to go down, man. This war of Armageddon. Let's grab that real quick. This is Revelation 16 and verse 15. It says, behold, I come as a thief, which is Yahushai. You know, this day is going to come. It's going to be, you know, as a thief in the night, you know, especially here in America, you know, because this war is really going to be breaking out there in the Middle East, you know, the valley of Yahweh Shabbat, the Lord's judgment. And then one day, you know, these missiles are going to come flying, man. Right? World War III. Right? It says, behold, I come as a thief. Blessed is he that watcheth and keepeth his garments, lest he walk naked and they see his shame. And that you know, the garments, you know, is going into this truth, this knowledge, wisdom, understanding. Continue, as the scriptures say, watch as well as pray. Supposed to be watching these end time headlines, watching, you know, the news and things that are taking place around the world, and, you know, watching videos from brothers that are uploading the information so you can stay prepared spiritually, you know, to know what's going on. All right. Verse 16, and he gathered them together into a place called in the Hebrew tongue Armageddon. Yeah, Armageddon. All right. Going into where this war is going to take place. Right. Let's go here real quick. Revelation chapter 11 and 12. It says, and they heard a great voice from heaven saying unto them, come up hither. And they ascended up to heaven in a cloud. And that, you know, is going into the elect that are going to be saved, you know, because you're going to have a handful of Israelites of the elect, men, women, and children that are going to be saved from this destruction, man. And that's what we're hoping. We're hoping the Most High have mercy upon us. When these missiles come, we want Yahushua to come and deliver us. You know, that's what it means to be saved, you know, being saved from this nuclear destruction that's coming, which only Israelites are able to be saved. You're not Israelite, you're not making it out. All right. It says, and their enemies beheld them. All right. So this is going into, you know, they ascended up into heaven in a cloud, the elect getting taken up. When the missiles are getting shot off from World War III, the elect, the believers of Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai are going to be getting beamed up into these into this fathership, the UFO, the cloud, getting taken up into heaven. All right. Verse 13, in the same hour, simultaneously, was there a great earthquake. Yeah, and this great earthquake is going to be caused by these nuclear bombs, these nuclear missiles that are going to go off. And the 10th part of the city fell, which the 10th part of the city is going into America as a whole, which you can Google it. America is actually broken up into 10 FEMA regions. All right. It says, and in the earthquake were slain of men 7,000, and the remnant were affrighted and gave glory to the God of heaven. Yeah, so this earthquake were slain 7,000, going into a complete number. You know, whatever the population of America is that day, you know, however much millions, 330 million, whatever number it is, minus the elect, everybody's going to be, you know, caught on fire, destroyed. This is going to be a great day. This is Judgment Day. That's coming, man. All right. The scriptures tell you the elements are going to melt with fervent heat. There's going to be a lake of fire. This is what's coming. Okay. And that's why we see Europe preparing for World War III. All right. The beast getting ready for war. Verse 14, Revelation 11 and 14. The second woe is past. The second woe is World War II. And behold, the third woe cometh quickly. World War III is coming quick, man. All right. Faster than what anybody can imagine. All right. Every day that goes on, one day closer to this war taking place. All right. So, yeah, this was just interesting information. All right. Europe preparing for war, which the EU getting ready, the beast getting ready for World War III, man. So, more information coming out. Call Lord Yahweh every day that goes on. We one day closer to the war of Armageddon, which, if this is happening, how close are we to this MOTB, the implementation of the mark of the beast? All right. So with that, call Lord Yahweh Till next time, say shalom.